for Bucky, he sort of felt that only the impossible happens. The things we least expect to happen are often the things that do happen. He would sort of say, well, no, these problems aren't too big to solve, and you as an individual have an important role in solving these, and you can't look outside yourself for answers. You have to kind of look out into your own kind of creative imagination. He would come in and just change the landscape of the discussion so radically that everybody would be mesmerized by his ability to redefine the problems. He was really into containers or systems that had inside, outside, and what separates inside from outside. And so whether that's our own home or the place we work or the country we live in, we live within systems, within systems, within systems. And he tried to develop an approach that allowed us to be more fluent and skillful in the way we move in and out of systems and the way we're influenced by systems. Bucky was a huge influence. I mean, there's one thing, I think it was Hugh Kenner who said, most people consider Bucky an architect because he's famous for the geodesic domes, but the architects say, no, he's an engineer, and the engineers say, well, no, he's a mathematician, and the mathematicians say, no, he's a poet, and the poets say, well, no, he's a philosopher. And the philosophers say, no, well, he's a utopian philosopher, which is something else altogether, and then everybody gets back to saying, well, no, he's an architect. And so we end up going in these circles where nobody claimed him as their own. They all assumed they knew more than he did about their own field, but they would always go to listen to him talk about every other field that they were curious about. What's interesting about this space is there's a geometry to it, and so the landscape nature of this play really comes alive. The audience is on three sides, and Bucky moves through that whole landscape of the room. From his work table to a gramophone that more represents his family life, to a chair which is more a chair of individual judgment, maybe, that from this position sort of synthesizes all the different parts of his life. I mean, Bucky had certain principles of movement, like axial rotation, which is spinning like a planet, or orbital rotation, which is circling around a point. Or if you do both of them at once, you're circling a point, you're spinning, then he called that dance. To Bucky, there's no front or back, there's no up or down. There's maybe you're moving in towards objects or out from an object. And so the movement principles that Bucky had, this space has really allowed us to bring those alive because it's a very sculptural space.